So I've asked my subscribers to tell me what Willie Nelson album I should react to. And the plan is for them to send me Willie Nelson t-shirts. And what I'd like to do is to wear a new Willie Nelson t-shirt for each song on the album that I'm going to be reacting to. Nobody on YouTube has done that. So the following is a detailed discography of albums released by Willie Nelson since his professional debut in 1962. So he's had 99 studio albums, consisting of 73 solo studio albums and 26 collaborative studio albums. 14 live albums. That's a lot of live albums. He's had 51 compilation albums, 41 video albums, as well as the soundtracks for Electric Horseman, which I'm not familiar with, the movie Electric Horseman, I have to look that up, and Honeysuckle Rose. So Electric Horseman, let's see what that was about. 1979 Western comedy drama. Robert Redford and Jane Fonda. The film is about a former rodeo champion who's hired by a cereal company to become its spokesperson, then runs away with a $12 million electric lit horse and costume he's given to promote in Las Vegas. Okay, after he finds that the horse has been abused. Okay. Redford and Fonda, quite the duo on the silver screen back in the day. It's a Sidney Pollack film, 1979. Okay, so let's go back. So 14 live albums, 51 compilation albums. Of course, the Electric Horseman soundtrack and Honeysuckle Rose, which we recently did. It says here his albums have been successful in many countries, including New Zealand, Australia, some places in Europe as well. Willie Nelson has sold more than 40 million albums in the US alone. All right, so his albums starting in the 60s, and Then I Wrote. Love that title. It was released in September of 62 on Liberty Record. Then we had after And Then I Wrote, here's Willie Nelson. The following year, 1963, same label. 2 years later, Country Willie hit the stores. Says here his own songs. So now this is on RCA. Country Favorites, Willie Nelson Style, 1966. Make Way for Willie Nelson in 67. The Party's Over, wow, in 67 as well. Texas in My Soul, 68. Willie was busy. Good Times. Let's take a look at Texas in My Soul. What was going on there? So that was his 7th studio album. So it's a tribute album to the state of Texas. The original artwork features the Alamo, along with projects completed, San Antonio projects completed in 68, like the Tower of the Americas, Hemisphere Arena, and the Hemisphere monorail system. Okay, so that was Texas in My Soul, a tribute album to his home state of Texas. October of the same year came Good Times. Love that title. One of my favorite TV shows as a kid growing up was Good Times. Dynamite! So Good Times was his 8th studio album. Although Nelson enjoyed a loyal and enthusiastic following in Texas, his record sales at RCA remained underwhelming. Nobody wants to have that term characterize their record sales. Underwhelming. In a bid to break Nelson as a major recording star, Chet Atkins, major big-time Nashville producer, had employed many of the recording techniques that had worked for other stars on the RCA label. But as the 60s neared a close, it was becoming plain to Nelson that the Nashville sound simply did not suit his own musical instincts. So he's having this revelation about the whole Nashville sound. As the singer later explained, because Chet was convinced I could be a superstar, it was hard to walk away from his operation. Yet his way of producing, for all of its technical wonders, fenced me in. I get it. I knew it, but blinded by ambition, who has not been blinded by ambition? I accepted the formula. All right, Chet, let's do this, man. I need some money. I should have known better, says Willie. But the truth is, it took me a long time, all of the 60s, a whole decade, in fact, to finally see the light. So the Nashville sound fenced him in. The Good Times album. Interesting. All right. In 69, early in 69, he released My Own Peculiar Way, still on the RCA label. So My Own Peculiar Way was his 9th studio album. It was his last release in the 60s. This became Willie's first studio album in which he used his new classical acoustic guitar called Martin N-20. There's a bit of trivia for you, man. Trigger. So this was the first time we saw Trigger on the My Own Peculiar Way album. On his 9th studio album, his last release of the 1960s, this became Willie's first studio album in which he used his new classical guitar at that time, model number Martin N-20, Trigger.